Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. So, I did do a stream that was about 8 minutes long where I did find a error with the processing of the actual turn itself. Now, I do believe I've actually fixed this. It's actually a really interesting conundrum. So let's take a look over here. So, like, what I want to point out here is the differences. So you can see this this icon over here indicates that the orders are there and they are correct. Basically indicates the presence of a human player. Human-issued orders, as these will not function as there's no AI in a pay-by-email game. So, we go over to this one over here, and I'm just going to show you the differences. So notice when I click over onto this one here, there's only the orders for myself here, which is rather interesting, isn't it? Then over here you can see that these orders are back. So when I go over here, and I compare and contrast, so we can see here that this one is the new one that I made with this change. And what I did was basically I renamed these two files to be like my file over here, which is my order file. So when I have renamed these, they've actually worked, which is strange. So apparently that's an issue. That's one I may have to raise up with Ageod and see what they say about that, which is very strange, very, very strange. But as I have stated, it does seem to have actually fixed the issue. When I click over here, you can see that these orders are now in. So we're going to take another go at this. This is interesting, actually. It's a very interesting way to start the series. And I apologise about that, guys. I hope it has not been too much of a farce. And ideally, the situation should be solved now. So we're going to go through this, and ideally, everything will be a-okay. I'm looking forward to this. So then, ladies and gentlemen, we have our forces in Belgium. With our forces to advance there, we have our forces to advance through the Ardennes. To advance through the Ardennes towards the Rhine. And how the hell you say it, and try to make it there to cut these rail lines. Differences in encoding based on system language or something. Potentially so, potentially so. What I find interesting is I may have to ask Tortuga and the Historical Game about their systems, but for both of them to come through differently is rather interesting. Perhaps it might be due to the fact that they were uploaded to Discord, and perhaps Discord is having some fuckery there. Who knows, who knows. And sub there, Kazar. I will hate you forever for this. I'm sorry, my dude. We're back up. Everything should be fine here. Everything does seem to have gone through our head and should be good. So then, we're going to process this. We're going to stop being such a cock tease and we're going to get things rolling then, shan't we? So, here we go. We're going to save here. And we are going to process the turn. And now this should work absolutely fine. I did do a quick check. And we should be good to go here. We should be rolling. Rolling on tides of thunder. Let's see then, shan't we? I'm going to be extremely interested to see how things turn out. So again, apologies to those who were watching the prior stream. At least things have been changed. Right, okay, so we can see activity here. Yes, things are going ahead fine. So the Australian squadron has arrived in the South Pacific Sea. The Cape of Good Hope division has arrived at the coast of Natal, day 3. Mediterranean fleet is chasing the Govan and Breslau. Okay, so we do have activity here. Right, so we have a Russian cavalry division there. We have managed to bypass it, it seems. Right, so we can see that forces are moving here. I have told this force to retreat. Hopefully they do follow through with that orders. We can see large armies there in the Ardennes area. Right, so we are seeing a battle here. Now, we were defeated here with heavy casualties, or at least somewhat heavy casualties. The first battle of the war has been a defeat for the Germans, which is a shame, but it's one that was expected. So we have 91,386 infantry versus 219,946 infantry of the French. 7,964 cavalry, 14,988 cavalry of the French, 390. You can see here that the artillery has been one where we've been thoroughly outdone there. But 16,000 men lost is... it is bad. Do not get me wrong on that one. But those losses are rather light compared to what we could potentially have suffered. It's a good thing we issued orders for him to pull out, and that would be that. So you can see here the battle ended after the first round. We did inflict some damage upon the enemy, and we have inflicted some cohesion damage, which should be okay. It's not going to affect them too much, but it's going to affect them. So let's continue. So we've been pushed from Luxembourg. which is going to be rather interesting. It seems our army has retreated over this way, so the road to Trier and the way to the Rhineland is open for this time being. That is going to be something that we're going to have to deal with, and it's going to be something difficult to deal with. Right. Okay, so we have seen multiple Russian armies advancing. We have had a victory here, the Battle of Genf. We have secured, potentially, Genf. Yes, the city has been secured. That is good. That is very, very good. Fortune is on our side. Unfortunately, we don't seem to have assaulted Liege over here. I should have had this set to assault. It seems that this has been changed during the process, but that's no problem at all. I can just assault this in the following turn, and that's fine. We have had the few successes that I wanted. We've secured a vital rail line over here, which is good. Not too bloody, though. Honestly, I was expecting far more blood in the first turn. Right, okay, let's take a look at the carnage then. So the Battle of Luxembourg. We have lost 16,000 men there. Their losses will be avenged. But things have opened up now, so let's take a look over here then, shall we? So diplomacy, obviously I'm going to be able to do this fine. We'll do this in a moment. We succeeded in force marching our troops here with this corps, so they managed to move here. Now we've managed to actually bypass these forces over here, which is rather good. Now the thing is, this corps is very much exposed, but we are behind the French lines here, and that is exceptionally good. So now what I can do is I can start to raise a bit of hell over here. Indeed, I will start to raise hell. So we have 2 divisions behind the enemy lines. Excuse me. Sorry about the cough, I'm still getting over my laryngitis. But yes, we do have 2 divisions behind the enemy lines. And these 2 divisions are more than likely going to be defeated at some point in the future. But the important thing here is that we can actually advance down here to the south. We're going to break these rail lines, and we are going to cause some absolute hell here for the French forces. And the thing is, this is Tortuga's nightmare. He's going to have to respond to this. He's going to have to do something. He cannot simply allow 2 divisions to wander around in the lines behind his front. It's not going to work like that. So he's going to have to divert resources to deal with this. And if we take a look over here then, we can see... well, I can't quite see. Okay. So we can see that we have forces over here of the Belgian army. We have forces over here of the Belgian army. Not too many. We should be able to potentially deal with that. Ideally. Aye, small force there. Another force here, which we'll have to deal with in time. Okay. An attempt to perform the decision right was unsuccessful. Okay, so I'm going to have to declare an assault on the fortress there next turn. That's fine, I can do that. That's no problem at all. So we do have these forces over here that we are going to have to reposition and dictate their orders. Okay, it's going to be very interesting. We're going to have to deal with this large group of forces over here. I mean, this is a hell of a lot of men. We can see that this is over 200,000 men. We're going to have to deal with this force. We're going to have to do a lot of different things and really find a way to deal with it. We do have a number of forces around here to the flanks. So the French do have to worry about their flanks. That's something they do have to be concerned about. Our forces are out here in the Baltic. Our naval forces are out here. We will have to make good use of them. That is going to be very true. Russian forces. Right, so our cavalry division was able to make it by the Russian cavalry division here. So we are in their back lines over here, so I can start to try to cut some of these rail lines, make hell for the Russians. He does have a cavalry force over here. He has another army. There's a second army, a third army. So we currently have 3 armies bearing down on us. That's something we're going to have to bear in mind. I do have this gunboat squadron, which we are going to try to use to rain down some hell. At least try to keep these waterways open and somewhat usable. Right, so we have a force over here. And another army. So there's another 2 armies in reserve. Now, currently we have no forces really by Breslau. We only have a few forces over here, not exactly much. Nothing I can really do too much with. We have Tirpitz over this way. We have a Panzer wagon, actually. That's going to be kind of cool. Okay, we'll have to find a way to use these forces. The Austrians are mobilizing, which is good. Now these armies are unlocked, which we'll have to dictate in our next turn. Well, in the next session when we should decide on our orders. We're just currently just taking a look at the turn processed, and we're just going to see what's changed and what has happened. Okay, these forces were going to take 16 days, so we can see here that the enemy has not approached us in Serbia. Our forces have moved to this fortress just opposite Belgrade, and we have had our corps arrive over to this location here. So now we are able to advance on the Iron Gates. We're able to advance on the Iron Gates, make our way down to Negotin, make our way from Negotin to Velika Plana, and from Velika Plana, Velika Plana, we can make our way down here to Niš. I don't know how you pronounce these. I'm not Serbian. I'm not from the Balkans. I'm not very good at even pronouncing English names, so God help us, right? Right, so where's the Govan and Breslau? Govan and Breslau, Govan and Breslau. Okay. I'm going to solve this by naval forces. Right, German. Right, German. So this is the region Baltic I'm looking for. Okay. Right, where are they? Right, so we're being blockaded in the Mediterranean, which is to be expected. I'd imagine we're being blockaded in the north. Yes, we are being blockaded over here. That is in fact the Grand Fleet of the Western Entente of the British Empire. So we can see that we have Jellicoe there. I'm not seeing Betty, which is rather interesting. We do have good enough. So we can see their battleship squadron, so that's a good amount of dreadnoughts. That's an insane amount of power there. So yeah, the fact that I'm not seeing Betty, I do believe it was Betty, the naval commander in charge of the British battle cruiser squadrons. The fact that I'm not seeing those battle cruisers is somewhat scary. So we're gonna have to see what we can find here. Now, our forces are out here in the Baltic. I've not seen any presence, any sign of the Russian Baltic fleet. I don't know if it's actually left Petrograd, which is fine for the time being. I would like to wipe out the Russian Baltic fleet within 2 months, so I'd love to try to draw them to battle. But for the time being, I could use these naval guns to great advantage, and ideally pound the Russians into submission from the sea. I've still not seen the Govan and the Breslau. Where is that gone? Okay. Our fortress guns have been removed from over here. That's good to see. State funds have been raised. Our diplomatic mission is underway in Romania. One of your ambassadors has increased support for your cause in Romania. Persia was unsuccessful. Afghanistan was unsuccessful. Okay. Right, Bulgaria is what I care about. So, Bulgaria has raised its support, increased its leaning towards me. As we can see here, the Entente is, as expected, trying to influence the Italians, which is honestly what I expect. I would not expect any less. And that's fine. Honestly, that is fine by me. I do not care for Italy in the slightest. So they're going to gain some influence over there, which is no problem. I do not mind that at all. However, I'm going to gain where it matters here in the Ottoman Empire. If I can swing the Ottomans to enter the war earlier, that is good for me. And I need Bulgaria. Bulgaria is my saviour. I'm going to be consistently repeating this one throughout the series, that Bulgaria is the one that matters above every other nation. Bulgaria is the key. I'm going to be fighting with the Entente over Romania. I do have a good amount of alignment here towards me, so we should be able to actually bring the Romanians to fight alongside us. So we could have Bulgaria, Romania, and the Ottoman Empire in the Balkans. Greece is inevitably going to... Well, actually, they're neutral at the moment, which is interesting. I might be able to get some influence in over there. Yeah, they're historically neutral, which is pretty cool. So that is rather interesting, then. That is rather interesting. Sweden is somewhat aligned towards the Central Powers. Japan will enter the war at some point. Luxembourg's actually on our side. That's rather interesting, isn't it? Luxembourg is actually fighting with the Central Powers. Any chance of getting the USA on side? I wish. I do believe that it's hard-coded for the US to actually join the Entente, which is a shame. There's a few things that need to be worked on, which is why I want this game to be redeveloped. China is actually not in here, which is a shame. Spain doesn't really matter. There's a few things that need to be worked on. This game is fantastic, but the development team do need to go about and develop a second one. It is honestly my favourite Ageod game behind, well, I'd say, on par with Civil War 2. Civil War 2 is the shit. Okay, so you can see here, the Entente is actually taking an interesting move. So they're investing in the Italians and only the Romanians. I'm not seeing any other influence elsewhere, so that's rather cool. With the mighty force of Luxembourg, indeed, we've already won here. We've got Luxembourg, right, Africa. So you can see we have French naval forces out here in the South Atlantic, and we have British naval forces out here in the Indian Ocean. No signs of movement here on the continent as such. That will not last too long. Peace will not be there permanently. Okay, I do want Afghanistan. If I can get Afghanistan, then I can threaten Kazakhstan. If I gain Persia, I can threaten Azerbaijan and the Caucasus. I can reinforce Afghanistan. I can importantly reinforce the Ottoman forces over here in Mesopotamia. And as well, I could potentially move Ottoman forces towards Afghanistan and then from Afghanistan to British India. Now, British India does have a formidable garrison. It has a large amount of forces. But that might not always be true. And we'll have to see how things go. But importantly, we need more allies. We need to secure more alliance partners. Indeed, but just to clarify again that Bulgaria is by far the most important nation here. I know this sounds like I'm pandering to Bulgarians, and hey, if a few of you Bulgarians really feel like you're enjoying this, you could always throw me a Patreon bone. But it's important due to this this railroad, I should say. Excuse me. And their formidable army. They do have a sizable military. The amount of Bulgarians mobilized for the First World War was absolutely insane. Okay, transport ships of the Baltic. Okay. Transported 451 supply points of seas, amounts from capacity being 3,200 points. So I need to get more supply ships in here. Well, transport ships. Okay, so received new things. Okay, merchant fleet of Baltic shipping box has delivered 6 state funds and 90 war supply to our harbours. Okay, blocked by an enemy position in Liege. Okay, so I should have assaulted that fortress. That was a shame. That was a shame. I should have had an assault on there. Oh well. Raiders arrived in Togo. I can take this in second turn. I think that was a issue I might have misclicked before I processed the turn when I was trying to sort things out, so that's fine, that's fine. An army is blocked, yes, that's fine. A lot of men are moving. Okay, that's fair enough, so they're being slowed down significantly. Which is going to be the hamstring of the French forces over here. Yeah, because of heavy traffic. Okay, reconnaissance missions over here. So we've been flying them over Verdun, Austria. Okay, the fleet has arrived. Okay, the Western Entente is capturing Luxembourg and the depot there. The Eastern Entente has captured this city in the on the border. Okay, so we did win this battle over here, which is nice. So we've gained control of this region. These divisions are now active. And that's good to see. I do need to find these, I need to find the Goban and the Reslau. Ah, here we go. Right, so we do have the Goban and we do have the Breslau. They actually did make it to Polar, which is good news. So we do have an idea of a sizable British and French force in the Mediterranean. We do need to be extremely careful. What we need to do then is we need to fight effectively. So I do have the possibility of naval bombardment from these fortresses. That is a good thing to take into consideration. Do these actually have naval guns? They have the fortress over here. Let's take a look at somewhere that we know has naval guns. Okay. Naval base, fort. Okay, so the fortress should be able to fire out onto the coast, which is good news. So if we were to fight in these coastal hexes, we'd have the mines to help us out as well, which is a good thing to bear into mind. Okay, how did our submarines go? So they're out here, which is something to take into consideration. Do I really want them going in here? Probably not. Probably not. So what we need to take a look at then is the Atlantic shipping box. Now notice the fact that this is not actually being blockaded, which is interesting. It might be in time. It might be in time. We'd have to run the gauntlet through the English Channel and then out to the other side into the Atlantic. But that could be a good idea for us. We'll have to take that into a possible stratagem. Okay. So, all in all, things could have gone worse. Things could have gone better. We managed to sever the rail line here. That's fine. That rail line has been cut. This rail line has been cut as well. That is going to inhibit the travel here and make it more difficult as they're going to have to repair this rail line. I do have 2 divisions behind the lines over here, which is fantastic. With these babies, I can start to get in deep here. It seems that the French are constructing a munitions plant at Orleans, or something is going on at Orleans. I imagine it's a munitions plant. So we know a munitions plant is being constructed at Orleans. That's good to take into consideration. Let's take a look at our intelligence and let's see what we can deduce from the Russian forces. Now, I don't have any good intelligence on any of the Russian forces, which is a shame. I do have intelligence on the French. Okay, so Belfort and Epinal is actually garrisoned, which is a unsurprising thing. We do have a few forces out this way. We do have a few German forces that we can start to mobilize. What we are blessed with is the fact that I can move through the Rhineland extremely quickly. I can move these forces via this rail line. I could move them up to the Rhineland. I could move them at a couple ends, which is a good potential. I need to move forces to the Rhineland due to the fact that this is a pivotal rail connection. But then again, it's not the say-all end-all, as I do have Essen over here, and I can still move through. That's not a problem. I need to take a look at the alignment of the Netherlands, actually. Right, Holland, the Netherlands. Right, so the Netherlands is leaning somewhat towards the Entente. We do have to take that into consideration. The Portuguese are leaning heavily towards the Entente as well, so this is going to be something we have to deal with. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the turn process, and in the following episode, I will be issuing orders. So thank you so very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope to see you all in the very future, in the very near future. And do consider supporting all of us on our respective Patrons, or via PayPal, or just by liking and by pressing on the little bell icon that alerts you to new videos. So thank you guys. Do remember to like and subscribe to all the channels involved in this. So have a great day, have a great evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Goodbye my dudes. See you all very, very soon.